understand is how you watch all this reality TV is basically what this is at this point.
Well, I watch them to play games and like entertainment value, and then just I go on YouTube to watch other shit. I happen to see a video that calls them out on it. I get interested, so I watch it, and I just keep in this vortex of drama. I'm just like, I shouldn't have watched it, but I did anyways. Like how you decided to erase your name, but mine you just, it's good. It doesn't have to be erased.
I didn't erase my name. My name wasn't on that side.
Oh, okay.
My name was on the other side, but yeah, I didn't erase that. I would like to rewrite your name because it's not large enough.
It's just every time you tell me to do that, I never write it big. Part of the reason is because 3 of the letters in my name are literally mine. How can I make it bigger is the problem.
I manage it. I can make your name bigger. Oh, man.
Then you just write my name for me.
Drop little.
Why don't you just snap this in half and use that?
I mean, I could get a brand new piece of chalk, but
I don't think I'll ever be able to get it how I had it last time. The last time I had it like perfect.
part of it is the camera, because I don't want the camera to overheat.
Oh, okay. When I was in England, instead of paying something like $1,000 to fill up my heating oil thing reservoir and then have to refill it like 6 months later, I just bought a $20 space heater.
I do kind of want to turn these up because even though they seem like they're loud enough, when I post-process it doesn't have to. Look, I need to make like an actual checklist and just hang it up. Because when I post-process these, I feel like I always have to turn the gain way up. I don't know why it feels like I have to mess with this goddamn thing every single time. Welcome to the Desert Lair, episode 12. I'm Dustin, a functional misanthrope. Dylan's here. He's a mostly functional nerd. This week, we're talking about the next two movies in the Lone Wolf and Cub series. So, movies 3 and 4. We'll get to the titles later. We'll jump into the news here. The only thing I saw was just all the stuff about the Oblivion remake.
I checked the trailer out on Steam, and I mean, the graphics update looked incredible, but I mean, in the end, it's still the same mechanics, but they're charging like $50 again, which just download some mods, and the graphics update will look better. I mean, not the new remake good, but I don't know. I'd rather save $50 than just replay the game.
If you've never played Oblivion, I'd say it's easily worth $50.
Absolutely.
If you have played it before, and it's been a while, maybe it's still worth the $50. But like you said, if you already own the game and you have all the mods, then you can mod it. So maybe it's not worth it. Everybody seems like they're saying all the old bugs or a lot of the old jankiness they left in. And it seems like they probably did it intentionally. So people show a video of like, he goes to pickpocket someone. He's in a room. There's no one else in the room but the one guy, and he pickpockets him. And immediately, like, a floating guard just appears out of nowhere.
If I play with one mod and one mod only, it's the unofficial patch every time. No question. If I had one mod I could download only, it would be unofficial patch every time. So
I mean, that was pretty funny. They left in intentionally a lot of the jankiness and some of the goofy stuff that was in the original game, which I don't know. Should they have fixed that? Probably. Is it a nod to the fans? Like, hey, look at this janky bullshit that you dealt with last time and it's still in the game now. Like, I don't know, whatever. I think there's a character creator or some kind of model creator or something. There's a Reddit, Oblivion Abominations. Some of the stuff that these people have made is truly horrific. What they're coming up with and what you can, like, the face models that you can make in this game are frightening. That was all I had. I didn't see anything really too interesting. You have anything?
no, that's mostly what I saw. Oblivion remake.
Moving on then, get into a few things before these two movies. So I finished Book of the New Sun. It's 4 volumes from 1980 to 1983. There's a 5th volume that was 1987. I didn't read that one, and it kind of wasn't part of the original 4 books. So 4-volume science fantasy novel written by Gene Wolfe. Quick synopsis here. The book chronicles the journey of Severian, a journeyman torturer from the Order of Seekers for Truth and Penitence. After helping a client kill herself, he is exiled in disgrace to journey to the distant city of Thrax, where he is to live out his days as their executioner. Severian lives in the ancient city of Nessus, nation called the Commonwealth, ruled by the Autarch in the southern hemisphere. It's at war with the country to the north. This book is a first-person narrative, ostensibly translated by Wolfe into contemporary English, set in a distant future when the sun has dimmed and Earth is cooler. So the book is written in a first-person narrative, so Severian, but Gene Wolfe says he found this book, like it's some ancient book that he found, and he's translated it as best he could into modern-day English. He does this so that he can write the book in such a way that he can make up terms and he can make up all this stuff.
I mean, isn't that what fiction is? You just make stuff up?
Yeah, it makes a little more sense if you read the book. I'll keep going with this. Severian, the main character and narrator of the series, can be interpreted as a Christ figure. His life has many parallels to the life of Jesus, and Gene Wolfe, a Catholic, has explained that he deliberately mirrored Jesus in Severian. Compares Severian's profession as a torturer to Jesus' profession as a carpenter in Castle of the Otter. Normally, I read science fiction books. Specifically, I like robot science fiction, but that's not all that I read. However, I like to look through Folio and Easton Press, which are two publishers that make really nice books. So Easton Press does all the leather-bound books. Folio does the non-leather-bound, but they make really nice books. And so if I find a book on there that looks interesting, but maybe it's not normally my genre or what I would read, then sometimes I'll read it anyway to see if I want to buy the books. Because if the books go out of print, then they're horrendously expensive to try and buy on the secondary market a lot of times.
You're more of a collector than me, and it's more about the story. I'm fine with a PDF. As long as I get the story element of it, I don't really care about that.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, not only am I a collector, obviously, but I like reading physical books. That's my preference. I do read books digitally as well, but I prefer having a physical book in my hand. Whereas you, like, when's the last time you read a physical copy of a book?
This test I had to study for in college.
Yeah. When's the last time you read a fictional book? Physical copy of a fictional book, like for pleasure? High school?
Maybe slightly past that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a decade ago.
Yeah, so you don't really read physical books. It's
No.
not convenient. You don't really like it. You're not a collector really at all. So
Yeah, that isn't my thing.
yeah, I'm a collector. I like the fancy books. So if I see a book that looks like it could be good, even if it's not my genre, and it's on one of these Easton Press or Folio, I try and pick them up. Because again, I don't want to pay some crazy, ridiculous price if I try and buy it later on. In any event, this book has science fiction elements to it. There is like space travel, and it seems like at some point in time the Earth was connected to other planets, and there are aliens, and there is all this stuff. But the book is still a good 95% fantasy. It reads as fantasy, and like all the future tech and all the future stuff is kind of lost to the past. So these people have future tech in some regard, but they don't really know how to use it. Later on, there's time travel in the series. But realistically, this book isn't really my genre. It's a fantasy first and foremost, in my opinion, and so it didn't really fit into my genre of book. Also, it's extremely densely written. So part of what I was talking about, because the author said he had to translate the book, he uses a lot of obsolete words, and some of the stuff is made up. And so not only that, but there's like complex prose, layers of symbolism, allegory, and not just biblical. There's also like mythological imagery in here as well. So it's just an extremely dense book to read. And it's intentionally written in a way that obfuscates what's happening. So when you're reading it, you have to really pick it apart to figure out what's going on. And what's going on the surface is not always what's really happening.
Some of the books I read have a mystery element of, but when you have to like reread the same section 4 times just to understand what it really means. I feel like that isn't for pleasure. That's more of like I have to work just to understand what's going on.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If you're a literary nerd, this probably is right up your alley. And I suspect that most people would have to reread this book, not just a passage, would have to reread the book a couple times to really kind of grasp what's going on. I would guess there's not a single person who 100% knows exactly what's going on or what the entire book means as Gene Wolfe intended it.
Yeah, that I don't know. Like I guess, like you said, literary people might like that, but I mean, I'm reading this for pleasure. It's like, yes, I want like a mystery element to the book of like, I won't say murder mystery, but like, you know, there's some mystery behind certain like, or like a magic element or like what's going on, like you said, in the past of like technology where they're trying to discover what happened to them. Like, you know, some sort of mystery like that. But it's like, if I have to reread the book multiple times just to understand what the point of it was, it's like, this is more of a chore than for pleasure.
I agree with that viewpoint for the most part. I like some of that a little bit. This book is definitely takes it over the top. And I mean, a lot of people think it's one of the greatest books in the genre ever written. And I can understand that point of view. This book works as just a strictly a fantasy book. It operates in that way, and that's fine. And so if you read it, you'll get a fantasy book out of it. I would say if you're going into it to read it as just a fantasy book, you could probably do a lot better. If you want a puzzle to solve, a book where a lot of it is open to interpretation, can have several meanings, and there's a lot of layers to it, this book is going to be right up your alley. I don't know that I would say I regret reading it. Again, it wasn't necessarily my genre. It was interesting to read, but picking apart a book like this is just not something that interests me. And because it wasn't necessarily my genre, it's just, it was a little tough at some points. I finished reading that, so I'll probably move on to something a little more science fiction-y next time. I watched another one of these Columbia Classic movies, From Here to Eternity, 1953. Again, the 4K transfer looks really good. Synopsis for this: at a U.S. Army base in 1941 Hawaii, pugilistic private is cruelly punished for refusing to join his unit's boxing team. Meanwhile, his commanding officer's wife and top NCO are indulging in a torrid love affair. It's an interesting movie. It won 8 Academy Awards. I would say it's mostly about military life, I guess, on-base life, kind of not overseas necessarily. I mean, you're in Hawaii, but it's still a good early military life movie is kind of the impression that I got from it. And it does a pretty good job at that. Obviously, it won 8 Academy Awards. There is a little bit of old movie-ishness to it. That's just, you know, it's 1953, so it doesn't always translate extremely well. But it was still a good movie. Don't have a whole lot to say about it. 4 stars for that one. The next movie I watch, FP3, Escape from Bako. Man, the joke is worn really, really thin at this point. I didn't watch the movie by itself. I only watched it with the commentary track. So I just turned on the commentary track right from the start. I'm not very good at multitasking, so my attention was a little divided there. I mean, I got the gist of the movie, but man, it's just tough. It was a tough watch. Not only does it lean even more heavily into the lore, and the plot is just even more kind of ridiculous and in service of the lore, but the movie is almost all green screened. They did a little bit with the silver screen muggers, which are the fans who come and helped in the Indiegogo campaigns and stuff like that to help fund the movie. That wasn't green screen. They did sets for that. But everything else, I think they filmed it like in their living room. He spends a lot of time in this commentary track talking about all the stuff he did and all the special effects and all the green screen and how they did this and how they did that. But I mean, it is kind of cool, I guess, how they made this movie. But at the same time, like, it does not look good. It looks like a green screened production. So on top of the fact that the plot is already nonsense, the joke is worn thin, and now you have a green screen movie, like, it is rough. Again, I'll watch the 4th one. I have a feeling it's going to be about the same as this one. Score-wise, for this one, 1.5 stars.
It was that bad.
It was tough, man. It was pretty tough to watch. If you like the direction the franchise took, probably like this movie. I did not. Moving on to the movies we watched this week. So the first one, Lone Wolf and Cub, Baby Cart to Hades. So this is movie 3. I think I'll skip the synopsis on this one. I mean, we already know what these movies are about at this point for the most part. Visually, again, transfer looks good. I like some of the scenery in this one and some of the interior shots. So this movie starts out, they hop in this boat, and there's like these ninjas following them underwater.
Yeah, I was like, why won't you just follow further away, but knowing that they can't escape the boat? Why do you need to follow them so closely? Like, and the guy doesn't exactly move very quickly. He has a cart with the child he has to push around. Like, it just feels unnecessary.
He does this, like, he pulls out his sword and he's like looking at them through his sword in the thing. And I'm like, can't you just turn around? They're underwater. Like, you're afraid they're going to notice you underwater looking at them through their bamboo sticks? Like,
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
it's just goofy. Like, I don't get plot-wise how that works exactly, but I was like, okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about, ohaguro, which is teeth blackening.
Yeah, I was going to mention that eventually. I was just like, that was horrifying. I first saw that and I was like, is something wrong with like the display of the movie? And I was like, oh, wait, no, that's her, like actually what her teeth looks like. It was horrifying.
So, yes, it is completely horrifying to look at. However, again, it's called ohaguro. They did that to help prevent tooth decay. And it also signaled sexual maturity, I guess, as well as a thing. So you become of age or whatever, and then they dye your teeth. So it had a practical application. And at the time, people found that attractive, which I don't know how. I mean, it's so jarring to look at.
Even like the Revolutionary War, everyone wore wigs because lice was so prevalent, and having like wooden teeth or whatever was a norm.
Yeah, different cultures, different time periods, they have different stuff. But to me, just straight black teeth is just extremely jarring. And it's hard to look at without it just being distracting. But it is in a lot of these old movies. It was a thing in Japan and probably other Asian cultures as well. So we cut to the next scene and we have these mercenaries. They decide that they're going to rape these girls. Basically, they're mercenaries. They move around. They can kind of get away with rape. It's not a big deal in a way. Like, they're not going to get caught. It's a thing they do. They decide they're going to rape these girls. But there's an actual samurai with them. He's a mercenary as well, but he's an actual honorable samurai. So the first thing I'm thinking, like, why wouldn't you stop them going to rape these girls?
So if you're a person of honor, well, he says he's a Ronin, which is different than being a samurai.
Yeah.
Slightly different. But I mean, the honor of what you're trying to accomplish is there. Why would you wait till after and then go out of your way to kill both of the women and one of the men? It was like, why don't you just stop it before that happened? Of like, if you do this, I'm going to kill one of you. Why don't you say that? I guarantee that would like make them hesitate to do this before that rather than I'm going to wait and look at, see everything that's happened. I'm assuming somewhere in the code of honor of the samurai, watching women get raped is dishonorable. I shouldn't let this happen, sort of thing.
So I don't think he watches. Like, I think he shows up kind of at the tail end. So I don't think he actually watches them be raped. But he knows what's going to happen. He knows what they're off to do. He shows up after all of this is done. And like you said, he decides that because it would dishonor the people they're currently working for, he murders both women, and then he decides one of the 3 other mercenaries, he breaks off straws and makes them draw straws, and the guy who draws the short straw, he kills him too. As in, he raped the girls, and then we fought him and killed him. Why would you wait until after and have to murder 3 people rather than just tell them, like, I'll kill you if you rape someone. Don't do it.
Oh, wait, I actually forgot. He also kills their bodyguard, too. So that's 4 people he killed. I forgot that part. But that's the other thing. Is like mine is the black and teeth lady, which let's just go past it. But her daughter, she's very attractive. Why would you have more bodyguards knowing that you're walking in a place where there's mercenaries around and rape is a common thing? Because I'm assuming if you look like that, you're a normal birth or you have money of some sort. Why would you hire more people rather than one guy to protect you? But I don't know how that whole situation works.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. We don't know exactly how feudal Japan operated and whether this movie is accurate or not. But I can say it seems like in this time period, man, there was just a lot of rape.
Yeah, I'm seeing a common element in these movies. Why do you have to have a super awkward sex scene in every freaking one of them?
Well, these aren't super awkward sex scenes. They're rape. There's a difference.
I mean, I was mostly referring to the first movie where it wasn't a rape, but it was just weird. The whole scene was just strange. I was mostly referring to that one when I said that. But yeah the other ones were rape. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of rape in these movies. There's a girl being sold into prostitution. Shocking, her handler tries to rape her.
Like, dude, what the hell?
She bites his tongue off, and that apparently kills him.
I looked it up because it's just, I was like, does he have like an underlying condition? Or like, apparently it said like, he was shocked so much from getting his tongue bit off. He had like a heart attack and died or something.
Oh, so you looked it up and tried to figure out what was going on because you had the same question?
I was just like, how does your tongue get bitten off to where you drop dead? I was like, does he have like a heart condition they really don't talk about? Or like, they describe it as he was so shocked by it happening that he had a heart attack and died or something. They had to justify women being able to do something that leads to death.
I mean, she couldn't like, I don't know, grab a sharp object and shank him or something. I'm like, well, how does the biting of the tongue kill him? But
yeah, I don't know.
They start looking for this girl. They find her. So eventually the brothel madam shows up. I actually like her a lot. She's super polite. She's very practical. I like her character quite a bit. All of her interactions with Ito, they seem very practically driven. And I kind of appreciated that because everybody else in these movies is fucking crazy. So
at a certain point, how many bodies can you throw at one guy where you're like, maybe we should just drop this? I like how really, like, almost before the fight even starts, she's like, nope, I already know this guy's exceptionally skilled. I'm not throwing my subordinates to their death.
Again, she's very practical. She's logical. She's smart enough to know, like, wait a minute, no, we're not going to go down this route. She's smart enough, though, that she appeals to his kind of sense of honor and sense of duty because she tells him, we can kind of forget about what happened here, she said, but technically she still killed one of these people and we can't just let her go. There has to be some kind of payment or retribution or whatever. So they go through this whole torture scene, which is an interesting scene because this is the third movie now. They've spent all these movies trying to kill this guy, and these people have every opportunity in the world as they're torturing him and don't, because she, in a way, is kind of honorable and practical as well. Any time you could have killed this guy, it would have been while he was dangling upside down, tied up, being whipped and beaten and like half drowned.
She had a certain level of honor that I feel like, okay, he's already agreed to silently be tortured, so we shouldn't take advantage of trying to kill him.
She mentions one thing about twins, how twins are abhorred. That is an actual thing. So in the time period, twins are bad luck. They didn't understand the science behind it. And there are a lot of times they killed one of the twins at birth. I think the firstborn of them was actually killed because they assumed it was the demon trying to take the place of the child or something. When she says that about herself, it is an actual thing. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Ito's supposed to kill this other lord, but the lord that he's supposed to kill, interestingly, also wants him to kill someone. So he goes to meet the guy that he's supposed to kill. So there's these two guys surrounding the lord, and they kind of make a move because there's some tension because he's denied the lord's request. And they both stand up like they're ready to attack, but they just kind of freeze in place and they leave. And the one guy says, we could have killed him, but he would have killed you. He's a terrifying swordsman and that he would have thrown a sword. His fucking sword throw is like his secret move. Yeah. It reminds me of the spear throw, remember, from Troy, where he chucks that fucking spear like a football field and murders a dude. So in any event, they don't attack him because if they do, they could probably kill him, but he's going to kill their lord. So he gets away.
He realizes the guy with the 2 6-shooters that he can't get to him before he would shoot him. So he uses his son to pretty much distract him and throws guns away to save him from drowning in the river. I feel like a guy with real honor would never use a child to distract another warrior to kill him. But
Well, so he is an assassin. So, I mean, the honorable part, I wouldn't go by that. But I do find it pretty interesting, though, that Ito was scared enough of this guy or concerned enough that he didn't want to try and fight him in any normal way. He literally lures him with his son, which is like an extremely dirty move. This guy went out to save the kid, and he realizes the kid isn't drowning, and he turns around, and Ito's charging at him, ready to...
he quickly assesses, like, I can't beat this guy normally because he's just going to pull out his gun and shoot me to death. Like,
he comes up with a solution, but I do find that pretty interesting because it seems like this is the one guy where he's like, I'm not fucking with this guy. Like, I'm going to trick him, and then we're just going to murder him, which works exceptionally well.
that whole scene seems like you assessed it correctly, and then the later scene just seems utterly insane. But keep going, we'll get to that.
I do think it's interesting that the guy with the pistols was actually kind of an honorable guy because he sees his kid drowning and he's like, all right, I'm going to save this kid. So the ninja who are following him underwater eventually catch up to him and they have this fight. During this fight, they form this ninja tower.
It's just like, what the hell is that? I don't know.
What is the practical use of the ninja tower?
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I was like, okay, this is a weird move out of nowhere.
Well, I'm also like, when do they practice this? Like, at what point in time or where? Like, can you imagine you're in feudal Japan and you have all these sword schools and all these people are practicing sword arts, and then you walk into the next school and it's like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Like, they're practicing the cheerleading tower over here.
I just like, they're just like, okay, we've done the traditional moves. We have to get more inventive with the fight scenes.
It's like they form a ninja tower, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So Ito jumps in the air and he throws the sword. His sword throw is definitely his best move.
I don't know if it was this one or the next movie where he literally jumps like Master Chief level in the air to throw the sword. I'm just like, okay, because, yeah. Are you one of those pole vaulter guys? Just like perfectly jump in the air that freaking high to where you can just have enough torque and just throw a sword properly in someone's head. Like, how are you? Can you jump in the air? Jesus, are you Michael Jordan?
The local lord tracks him down and he's walking up. There's a fucking army of guys. There's a literal army.
Yeah, I think it was like easily over 100 guys.
Yeah.
That's the part where it's just like, okay, you have your son in your little car, and you see a literal army of guys, and you're like, should I run? No, I'm going to stand in front. That's the part where it's like, you just assessed that the guy with the guns is you have to do an elaborate trap, the ruse to kill him, but you're like, nope. Army of easily over 100 guys. I'm going to stay and fight rather than run away. I don't understand it at all.
Well, and in fairness, he fucks these dudes up. There's a fucking army of corpses after he's done.
Yeah, he uses the cart to deflect arrows.
Yeah.
And then he just pulls out like a fucking like rocket battery level of just like Gatling guns. I'm like, where do you get this? Like, he utterly like decimates like almost a third of the army with these like Gatling guns he has. I'm just like, and then he throws literal bombs.
Yeah, there's legs flying from these bombs through the air. Like, this dude is fucking the John Rambo. He's literally a one-man army. He kills over 100 dudes in this one fight scene, and there's just like corpses laying around everywhere.
Yeah, that whole scene is just okay. This guy is like inhuman level. It's like, how much stamina do you have?
Yeah.
to swing your arms that many times to kill that many guys. And there's a part where right after he gets done throwing the bombs and the rest of the guys surround him. And it's like, okay, now he's like almost 1v1ing all these guys. It's
Yeah.
like, why doesn't like 4 guys attack him from every angle at the same time to kill him? But like, attack him all at once, for Christ's sake.
Like, he's killed an army of you. Why are you fighting him one-on-one? Like, this is not the guy that you have a one-on-one duel with.
How much stamina do you have to fight that many guys in a row?
He's murdered this small army. And then the samurai, I guess we didn't mention that part. So Ito meets the samurai who murdered the prostitutes, and he wants a duel. And so he goes to this duel, and he basically says it's a draw. Like, go away. Like, I don't want to fight you. There's no point. So after he's murdered the small army, the samurai shows up and wants a duel. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, you can't give him any breathing room? Like, he murdered 100 people, and now you want to fight him?
I guess in his mind was like, well, this might be a fair fight now.
He fights this guy. Obviously, he kills the guy. I like how he asks Ito a question after Ito impales him with the sword. And I'm like, did you have to wait till he had a sword through you? Like, couldn't you have just asked him the question before you had a duel and got killed? I don't understand.
I guess in his mind is like, if I kill him, he isn't worthy. Or if he's going to be a draw, like, why am I going to tell him? I guess only in like assured death would he actually ask the question of, what do you consider honorable, and like die with honor? And
He just murdered 100 people. Like, at what point do you not consider that?
No, I'm saying when he tells the story of why he was a Ronin and not still a samurai, and he describes, I saw an army coming towards my lord, and realizing that if we faced them, normally, of waiting till you surround us, my lord would die. So instead of waiting till our lord dies, he preemptively attacks and wins and saves his lord. And he's like, what's truly means of like the code of honor of having honor and letting your lord die, or going slightly outside of it and your lord lives? What's more important to you?
I completely understand the question, and it was actually a good scene. I don't understand why he couldn't have asked a question without a sword through his gut.
As I was saying, if he killed the guy,
He's not going to kill the guy who just murdered 100 people.
his stamina has to run eventually. If he killed the guy, he wasn't worthy of the story to ask the question of. And if the draw, it's like, okay, what's the point?
Listen, if you roll up and you see 100 corpses and you're like, I'm not sure if this guy's worthy or not. Like, no, he just murdered 100. Like, how many other people are you seeing who just murdered an army by themselves? Like, there's nothing Ito has to prove to, I don't know. Just after that, he still wants to commit suicide. After he has a sword through his gut already, Ito has to pull the sword out so this guy can put another sword inside of his gut.
Well, I mean, a lot of times with the ritual suicide, just stabbing yourself doesn't actually kill you. You got to like do the twisting and like cutting your bowels thing.
Listen, I get it, but you lost a duel. Can't you just have Ito kill you? There's a sword through you already.
And there's that scene at the very, very end where the lady from before tries to go to him, and her servants are like, "No, don't mess with this guy. Like, if he decides to attack you, you're dead because we can't win. There's no chance."
He just killed an army.
They're like, "This guy isn't a man anymore. This guy's a literal demon."
So that's the end of this movie. Do we want to give a score?
You go first.
All right. I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars. I think I like the second movie better.
Yeah, I had the same score. I was half considering giving it a 4, just because watching one guy kill 100 people, this is so epic. I haven't seen that in a movie in a long time. This guy is so awesome that he kills that many people. That almost alone gives it half a star, but I was like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty awesome.
But yeah, it's just really stretching the realm of believability. But it's like so epic. It's like...
All right. So, 3.5 stars. You have the same score?
Yeah.
3.5 stars. All right. So, the next movie, this is the fourth movie, Lone Wolf and Cub, Baby Cart, and Peril. The first scene in this movie, we start out with topless fighting.
Yeah, another just weird, like, whatever.
I mean, to me, I feel like this is maybe manga fan service. I didn't actually read the manga or look at the manga, but I have to assume that this was in the manga and this is directly from its manga fan service. And she essentially wants her tattooed tits to be a distraction while she's fighting. She ends up being the one that Oyuki, is that her name? Yeah, Oyuki. So she is the one that Ito has to kill in this movie. They're in town. Daigoro gets separated. He's like wandering around by himself at 3 years old through the city.
In several of the other movies, Ito literally asks him to do stuff. Yep, you're going to ask someone who's less than 3 years old to hit a contraption when you need to or do certain things. It's like, so obviously this child is very smart.
Yeah, I mean, you can train a kid to hit a button, but it seems extremely weird to leave him outside. And then, I mean, granted, he does get distracted because he's wandering performers. Or can you imagine in this day and age, you see a 3-year-old wandering around? I feel like even back then, you see a 3-year-old wandering around and you're like, let's go find your parents, kid. We have a flashback, and so you see how Ito became the Shogun's executioner. Interestingly, he lost the 1v1 sword fight. So he fights this other guy. I would say he lost the sword fight, but it's not clear, and they don't tell you in the movie after he gets his sword parried and knocked away. He jumps away, and the guy chases him with his sword, and he points the sword at the Shogun, and so that's why...
That guy's teacher later in the movie describes why he wasn't chosen as the executioner.
He wasn't chosen, but the reason why he wasn't chosen is because he pointed his sword at the Shogun.
Oh, I thought you were saying they didn't describe that in the movie.
Well, no, but I know, but
mentor does.
What they don't describe is whether Ito intentionally jumped towards the Shogun because he knew the guy was going to point the sword, or whether it was happenstance.
Oh, okay, that's what you mean. Gotcha.
Yeah, so the guy says that he just happened to be standing there, and that's where my sword was at. Based on how good of a fighter and how quick on his feet Ito is, I don't, the movie doesn't tell you, but you have to sit and wonder, like, he clearly lost the sword fight, but did he intentionally jump in front of the Shogun? That way this guy would point a sword. Did he just happen to jump that direction? It's unclear. But it is interesting because we finally see the guy who just murdered 100 people and seems completely unkillable lost a sword fight. Legitimately, this guy beat him. After that scene, they have the Facemaker. The head of the Yagyu clan, he's played by a different person in this movie. I don't know if you noticed that, but...
Yeah, I think I did, yeah.
I mean, they have so much bald cap, wig, and all the crap on it. It's hard to tell, but yeah, they changed actors in this movie. I could tell because he sounds considerably less constipated than he did.
Yes, I immediately noticed that.
I'm like, he couldn't replicate the level of constipation that the original actor had. So Retsuru decides, we have to banish you. We have to tell the Shogun I have to offer him your head because we have to get back in the good graces or whatever. But we don't want to kill you because I value your swordsmanship. So they bring in the Facemaker, who pulls out a rubber mask and can make a complete perfect replica, Mission Impossible style, of another person's face. And he says he wants to keep Retsuro for his swordsmanship skills, but they have to banish him, and they don't use his swordsmanship skills at all. I'm like, the fucking guy who can make someone else's face is infinitely more useful.
Yeah, I didn't understand. So you have a guy who can make any face Mission Impossible style. You don't keep the guy. You literally hire this guy with services for to keep alive, and then you banish him, and you don't just make a new face to join your army of ninjas. Like, what? I don't understand what... Okay, you went out of your way to do this step, and then the reason you did this didn't equate to you actually doing it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, the plot point here is just bonkers. Like, I think this guy is Retsuro's son, so that probably has something to do with it, but they don't really talk about that. But I'm just like, the guy who can turn himself into anyone is the most valuable person in your army, and you're going to sacrifice him for a guy whose swordsmanship skills you can't use anymore because you have to banish him. Like, what?
The smart thing would be to have a random ass guy you kidnap, give him the face of the guy you're supposed to kill, and then use both of them. And I don't know, maybe frame Ito with the perfect face to do something dishonorable. And then by default, you get the position. Like, the whole, like, I just had to skip past it because I was just like, there's so many ways with a little bit of...
the guy who could make anyone's face.
Yeah. And I'm assuming the Shogun doesn't know this guy exists or something. Because, I mean, dude, I would have you on retainer to do multiple, like...
Yeah, so it's a really difficult plot point because you're like, what? You're going to kill the guy who can make anyone's face? So he meets Gunbei Yagyu, who's been following Ito's lost kid. So Ito fights him. He wins the fight this time, but he still loses the 1v1 sword fight. So Ito and Gunbei start out sword fighting. Ito loses again. He gets a sword parried or whatever. I mean, this guy legitimately is badass with the sword. You beat Ito twice with the sword. And also, Ito didn't kill you with the throwing sword technique. You're the baddest fucking dude on the planet at this point because the sword can murder anybody.
I was really surprised. I was just like, wow. So after all that time of experience and overtime of like, dude, and Ito still can't kill the guy other than the main character and he can't die or whatever. That's the only reason he didn't actually die by that guy if you lost twice.
He technically wins this fight. Like he throws his sword or he throws something, he distracts the guy and then gets a spear and then chops his hand off. So he does win this fight, but he wins the fight with field experience and other weaponry. And he's just a more experienced combatant overall, I think Ito is. But in terms of swordsmanship, he is not. He's second to Gunbei. And I mean, it doesn't even take long. Gunbei almost instantly beats him with the sword. Gunbei is not a dude you want to get into a sword fight with. Because if you could beat the guy who just murdered 100 people, you're pretty incredible with the sword. I do like that point. There is someone out there better than Ito, and it's this guy with the sword, even if Ito technically wins. So Ito goes to this old temple, and he walks in, and he's praying.
The ninjas.
I'll say this. Their statuesque makeup is pretty good. I knew walking in, like you could tell you're looking at these guys. It is hard to tell. They did a really good job dressing these guys up as statues, and they're literally, their movement in the shots is so stiff and static, you don't even notice. And then all of a sudden, the statues jump out and attack him.
I really like the part where they jump up in the rafters and throw the claws, try to rip his weapon out. All the other guys you sent all got killed, and your tower move didn't work. So let's try something else. And I mean, it seems like it's working, and then he freaking just gets out of it. But it's just like, hey, at least they're not just cannon foddering their way to their death by the same moves. At least they're trying different stuff.
So this is a theme in these movies that I've noticed, at least. The groups of ninjas, especially the larger groups of ninjas, they do give Ito trouble. He does get legitimately fucked up by these guys. He struggles with these ninjas. Maybe not necessarily struggles, but he has to put in a lot of effort to kill these guys. The first movie where he fights the bandits, he decimates those guys almost instantly. And the other guys who are maybe samurai but not ninjas, the 100 guys that he murdered, obviously that was a pretty hard fight, but he still murdered 100 guys without any issue whatsoever, more or less. But these groups of ninjas, they do give him trouble. It's a pretty interesting scene because these guys are dressed as statues and they just jump out from nowhere.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. And like the head of the Yagyu clan is really trying to like, this tactic didn't work, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, they do some creative stuff. So he has to kill Oyuki. The next scene, he meets up with Oyuki. We learn the reason why she's doing this. Surprise, surprise, her old master is a rapist.
The part that I found interesting, how does this guy get his sword on fire? The guy shows up and tries to fight her again, and he sees that. I was like, why isn't Ito using the sword on fire move after that? I was like, dude, that's cool as shit.
She calls him a sorcerer. I don't know if he's a sorcerer or maybe an illusionist. And the practical effects of the movie literally looks like he has a flamethrower that's attached to the sword is what it looks like. It is pretty badass looking. It's pretty neat, but Ito's not a sorcerer. He's just a badass swordsman.
I'm assuming most normal people, when you're on fire, you're not going to be trying to kill someone.
I don't actually know if the sword catches anyone on fire or not. I think it looks like it's on fire, and then he uses that to like hypnotize and mesmerize people. That's how he beat her originally. He's got this flaming sword, and he like hypnotizes her, and then she passes out, and then he gut punches her or whatever, I forget. But he shows up again. He's got the flaming sword. It looks like she's falling for the trick again. And then, no, wait, she shows him her tits, and then she stabs him.
Hey, you lost to this and ruined your life. You're going to make sure you don't fall for this twice.
I mean, she almost does, and then she's like, nope, check out my tits, and then shakes him. I mean, listen, here's the thing about boobs. They never get old, no matter how many times you see them, regardless of whether they're the same boobs that you've seen over and over again. Like, boobs are always interesting, so I get it. Especially these tattooed, neat-looking ones. Like, she had a good tactic. I'll give her that.
You've seen other women in previous movies. They're like super badass. Like, why don't you just make her a female ninja? Why do you have to go out of I have to show my tits to kill people route? But whatever.
I feel like it's kind of manga fan servicey, whatever. I mean, it works, and it's funny to watch, right? He's like, check out my mesmerizing sword. She's like, nope, check out my tits. She kills this guy, and then she has a duel with Ito, and Ito kills her, and then he has a respectful funeral for her. So she's the daughter of these street performers. Ito goes to tell her father, the head of the street performers, she's dead. He killed her. This other lord, who Retsudo Yagyu has been basically telling the street performers are out to get you, or he's telling them all these lies. And so the local lord of the domain busts in the door of the street performers. They kill the head of the street performers. Ito surprisingly doesn't kill them, but he's freaking out like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And the head of the street performers like, take my head to the local lord, appease them, tell them, leave my people alone. There's no reason to do this. You don't want this. Ito goes to meet this idiot. He ends up stealing the Lord so that he can get away. Apparently, he doesn't want to murder another army of people, so he steals the Lord. He tells him he'll bring the Lord back. He's like, don't worry. I'll bring him back. Just let us go. It's not a big deal. As soon as I'm safe, he'll be safe. They get attacked by the Yagyu clan, and the guy runs out in the middle of gunfire and dies.
Instead of running the opposite direction of the gunfire, I'm going to run towards it like an idiot. Like, I don't understand that. I didn't understand that part. It's like, why? This didn't make sense to me.
I think the Lord thought, hey, I'm a Lord. They're not going to shoot me. Like, he got away from his kidnapper, and he's like, stop shooting. I'm the Lord. But obviously, Retsudo and the Yagyu clan don't care. Like, they want Ito dead, so they just gun down the Lord in the process. So it's like... I also like how they all throw off their hats, like at the beginning of that scene. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. They have those like straw things. It's like, do they have like an eye hole to see? It was like, or is it just...
Well, maybe they see through the straw, but to me, it's funny because it's like this secret reveal almost, like where the ninja, like, oh yeah, like it's not, like it was completely obvious who you were. There's no reveal here.
Yeah, I was like, Ito already knows who's trying to kill him. You sent so many people to kill him already. He knows who you are. Like, there's no like, mystery at this point.
Yeah, they all throw off their hats. I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, this is like, you act like it's some huge mystery. It's like,
yeah, I'm like,
dude, you sent probably almost 100 people at this point to kill the same guy. Like, oh god.
Retsudo right now is trying to finish the job. He brings an army of ninjas. So he does win, but these ninjas fuck him up. Again, he struggles with the ninjas. He does usually come out on top in all these battles, but this battle with all these ninjas, they do some serious damage to him. I mean, he's laying on the ground with a sword in his back and he can't move. And Daigoro comes out after he murders 100 ninjas.
I forget exactly what led to him being stabbed. He was so tired. Someone ambushed him.
Yeah, he's finally so exhausted. He's murdered enough people finally that he's exhausted enough that he gets sloppy.
How much stamina do you have to kill so many people to where you don't drop from exhaustion?
Yeah, it takes a sword through your back to finally pass out. He murders an army of ninjas they come after him with, and he still wins. How many guys have you sacrificed trying to kill this dude?
Never dying cockroach, the head of the Yagyu clan, escapes again. Like,
Ito, though, he's got this sword in his back. His son has to come pull the sword out through his back after he's murdered another army at this point. But the ninjas, they actually legitimately fuck him up pretty good. And then the movie ends. He's walking away with the cart. You can see he is fucked up. He's bleeding and he's staggering, can barely stand on his own 2 feet. He's messed up. And that's the end of this movie.
my question is, the head of the Yagyu clan, what are you telling new recruits? Or it's like, come join, be okay. And it's like, why is the turnover so high? It's like, dude, how many ninjas you... It's like, at a certain point, it's like, okay, I'm assuming as like a new Yagyu clan, you're like, why does he keep having to recruit people? I don't want to join a clan where it's just like every new month or two, you have to recruit a bunch of new people. Like, how many people are like dropping you? That's the point where it's like, I'm not interested.
Imagine if like the CIA all of a sudden had to recruit like 1,000 people. You're like, anybody just can be a secret operative nowadays? Because that's what these guys are. They're the Shadow Yagyu clan. It's like, how long does it take to replace the 500 dudes who have been murdered?
Yeah, I'm assuming you don't join and like 2 weeks later, it's like, okay, you're now a skilled trained ninja. Like,
Yeah. It's like a lifetime of training. Like,
looking at Ito, how long that guy trained to get to the point where you're giving this guy a serious trouble. That's like almost 2 decades worth of training. Like, and all of a sudden, you know,
you're not making the fucking ninja tower overnight. It takes time. The ninja tower takes time.
yeah, this is like, I don't know, but
Do we want to give this movie a score?
you go ahead and go first.
I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars as well. Same as last movie. I don't think I like either one of these movies quite as much as the second movie, but both these movies are pretty good. And like you said, it's legitimately epic to watch this dude with a sword and a cart with some guns murder 100 people.
I do like this one saying, I gave it saying 3.5. And I do like over time, the enemies are getting more and more difficult. This movie, he became close to death through multiple different ways. The last group of ninjas, the other guy who was a better swordsman. Either the Yagyu clan guy is getting super desperate where it's like, I literally have to throw the core people of my entire clan just to try and kill this guy. At a certain point, it's like, I stake my entire clan's like future on killing this one guy. Like, but yeah, I do like over time, the enemies are getting more difficult.
And they're doing a good job with all the creative ways, the guys underwater and the guys in the temple and the ninja cheerleader tower that they have.
At a certain point, it's like, 100 guys enough? Is 200 guys enough? Like,
Yeah. It's a lot of fun to watch, though.
oh yeah, it's so awesome just to watch one guy. I forget what movie it was in these two movies where he does like this jumping somersault through the air. It was just like, the movie's about the main character killing a bunch of guys, and they execute it very well.
Yeah, especially for a movie that was made in the 70s. For the next one, let's just watch the last 2 movies in this series.
Okay.
That's all I had. Got anything?
Nope.
All right. Later, man.
Yep.
Jimmy actually made a little cold there.
It'll be mid-summertime. We'll both be in, like, jackets.
Yeah, I was like, do I need my sweater? I definitely didn't have swamp masks.
The Dynasty Warrior games, the problem with those is that they're just super repetitive.
Yeah, they are.
essentially the same thing. The disconnect, that little box outside, I ordered a non-fused one. They sent me a fused one and I didn't realize it. Well, they sent me a fused one, but they don't give you any fuses. So, turned on the breaker, measured at the line side. I'm like, oh, I see voltage. Measured at the load side, see no voltage. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, does it want a specific position? I'm trying different positions. And then finally, I'm like, there's something wrong with this disconnect. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, how does it connect? Like, because they're supposed to bridge all the connections together. I'm like, well, how does that even work? I don't see a plate that connects all of them. We get out the meter, test continuity. No continuity. I look, I'm like, oh, because it's supposed to have fuses in between them.